Well, my friends, welcome to Reja with Sergio, special edition of Artists in Lockdown. Today, we're going to talk about e-learning during the lockdown. And I know many of you have been struggling with that. So today, I'm going to have a great conversation with my good friend, Richard Kunz, also known as Digital Visual. Okay. Well, hello, Richard. Super happy to have you here virtually, right? You are here in the Chicagoland area as well, just like me. We have known each other for a long time. We've become good friends as well, collaborating and also in the various things. So very happy to have you here. You're going to help us out today with some e-learning. But let me first ask you, how are you? How are you adjusting yourself as an artist first to this situation?
Well, Sergio, it's been a unique situation, obviously, for everyone. But my goal is really during this to use this as an opportunity to thrive during quarantine and having to stay at home. Really being able to develop skills and learn myself as a teacher. I also am always a student, so that's really one of my goals, is to pick up new skills and clean things up and brush things up and try new things. I've been doing a lot of streaming online and doing a lot of online content.
Right, which I've seen some of those as well. Very interesting. And what's the platform that you're streaming mostly?
So I started streaming on Twitch, which is primarily a gaming platform. But one of my former high school students reached out to me and said, "Hey, I think you would be really great on this platform streaming your art." And she kind of gave me a few tips about how to get started. And I've been messing around with cameras and sound, and it's been a challenge, and it's been frustrating at times, but it's been a lot of fun. So it's a great platform to build community. And I'm trying to bring in artists and educators and students to kind of, collaborate in this really rich environment. We're looking for new ways to communicate with each other and collaborate with one another.
Right. So, and I think it brings a lot of opportunities. One of the last times I saw you, or probably the last time I saw you in person, was in Chicago during which of where's it, Comic-Con? No, which one did I go to?
It was C2E2, the Chicago Comic and Entertainment Expo. Yes,
there you go.
McCormick Place. Yeah.
There's a few, I remember, I forget which one is which. But yeah, and that was really cool to be there with so many people, right? And being surrounded by this huge sea of people and really enjoying themselves. I did a special edition video. You were in it as well. And so it's pretty cool. And now to think like now, just 2 months, away from that experience, now we are all in isolation. To think about another event like that anytime soon is like almost unthinkable right now. It's going to be a while before people are really willing to go out, and it's safe for everyone to just go out and do what we used to do just 2 months ago. So as we transition to this new world and in confinement, someone like you, who's very much involved in education, we would love to hear kind of some of the things that you have learned so far, maybe also some of the tips that you can give our friends, because we have, all kinds, the whole gamut of people who watch the episode. We have instructors, we have also people who do workshops, we have also artists who do maybe just one weekend hands-on event, and now they have to do it digitally or remotely, so I know there's a lot of questions. I know there's a lot of also options, but maybe you can help us out with some of the things that will make our friends' life easier when it comes to e-learning.
Sure. So as a high school teacher and a parent, I have 3 students of all different ages. So I have experienced what this looks like for grade school, junior high. My wife is also a teacher. High school age students. I do some mentoring of students who have been to art school. So I'm seeing the whole range of things. And it's been a struggle, but in different ways for the different age students. For the teenagers, the thing I stress the most is take care of yourself. And, we have a hierarchy of human needs that need to be met before you can kind of go and pare it down to get to the things like learning and creating. We have to worry about safety and shelter and food, and people are just really nervous, and no one really knows what they're doing. And I think the struggle for educators, instructors has been, you're seen as the expert in these situations. Like you have the answers.
Mm-hmm.
And currently none of us have any answers. We're all trying
Right.
to figure this out simultaneously. So we're all learning while we're
Mm-hmm.
trying to develop this. And my thing is I'm giving opportunities to students to do things,
Mm-hmm.
but I'm stressing that they should not feel pressure to do these things. Like
Mm.
grading is something that we've had to change the way
Right.
that we look at it. I want students to be able to use their learning as a way to escape from what's happening, to kind of
Mm.
to be able to deal with it and have some enjoyment. So
Right.
I definitely don't want to add pressures to families. So
Mm-hmm.
I think the key is that instructors are very flexible with the students. Like you
Mm.
have to understand that everyone is in a different situation, and I don't know what's going on the other side of the camera. When you're
Right.
in a classroom physically together, you kind of, it's sort of like a level playing ground. But in
Mm-hmm.
this situation, there's so many people dealing with so many unique situations that the teachers have to be really flexible. We have to really be understanding, and we have to care and put the needs of everyone ahead of what the curriculum says we're supposed to cover in a certain defined amount of time.
Right. And particularly because it's art, so it's a hands-on experience versus, if it was English or math or something, you can just point, do exercises and things. But when you are as a teacher, as a professor, right there helping, demoing, it becomes a whole different experience because you don't have that. You cannot extend your hands over it and help the student out. So,
Absolutely,
what are some of the
absolutely.
tactics that you find useful? Are you doing like self demo videos, or you're moving your camera? What are some of those
Mhm.
tactics that you're using?
So in my situation, I was kind of lucky because I was already interested in creating content. I've had a YouTube channel for a couple of years, and a lot of times what I would do in demonstration
Mhm.
situations live in a classroom is I would record those demonstrations
Oh,
and
well.
offer them to students as review. So if
Okay.
if you're on my YouTube, I would send them to my YouTube channel. A student would come to me and say, "Hey, I forgot how we did this particular thing." I
Mhm.
would say, go onto the YouTube channel and review, because it's a way
Right.
to document that and to constantly give them the
Mhm.
feedback and reinforcement that they need. So some teachers are really struggling with that because they're not comfortable on camera. They don't have the equipment. They don't
Mhm.
feel like they're in a position to be able to do that well. So I feel for that. But in my situation, like I said, I was already kind of doing that. It was something that I
Wonderful.
was interested in. So
Mhm.
it's been good. I've been providing videos, and I'm also sharing the videos with other teachers who teach
Mm.
similar subjects. So I have friends from other schools who are
Mhm.
saying, "Hey, can I use that video to pass that on to my students?" And I say, "Absolutely. That's what it's there for. I'm creating
Right.
that to provide that value for students."
That's great. And it's something that you have been doing and building up that library, and now has become, a golden resource for what you are really doing with the situation that we're all in. And in terms
Sure.
of the equipment, are you or in the software that you're using for e-learning, what are the things that you are doing or you see others using successfully?
So some schools have opted to use Zoom, which is what we're currently using. Other people are using the Google Meeting,
Oh, yeah.
which was formerly known, I think, as Google Hangout,
Hmm.
and that's a way for them to kind of share information. That way, to have these meetings where the students can get some FaceTime with the teacher. And I make those meetings optional. I
Hmm.
meet with all my classes once a week. I say, here's an hour block of time. If you want to, if you want to just chat about, and a lot of time we spend not really answering questions about the
Hmm.
content, the academic stuff.
Hmm.
It's more just checking in with each other and chatting about life. I think
Hmm.
in some ways this has kind of humanized the whole teacher student interaction. Like we're seeing each
Good point.
other more as people, and more as just, we're again just kind of on the same level.
Hmm.
I've talked to some of my students. We're getting a new puppy this week, and we're not dog owners. So my
Okay.
wife and I are terrified, and my kids are super excited. But I have students who basically are running small farms in their homes. They have 12 different animals. So I'm actually asking them for advice about those types of just
Hmm.
everyday real life stuff.
I
So
love
we've
that.
been
I
using
love
that
that.
platform. Yeah. Yeah. Thank you.
And I love that idea of it's not just about the teaching. Okay, here I am. I'm your teacher now. You're the student. I have content for you, but rather, creating that engagement and almost like it's almost like rebuilding trust again, because you're not in the setting where the professor stands up in the front of the classroom, and that
Sure.
has a psychological authority, right? The person who's in standing, but we are all kind of like at the same level. So to bring that, I
Mhm.
think that authority back is through that being interested on the other person and who they are.
Mhm.
um,
Yeah, it's been pretty remarkable. I've had students who, some of my older students, I have a lot of juniors and seniors, and they're obviously heartbroken over the fact that they're missing out on all these things that we previously took for granted, things like
mhm.
graduation and prom and
Oh yeah.
events like that. And I feel for them, and I understand where they're coming from. But I've had a few students who have reached out to me to see if I'm okay, and that
Mm,
is really a cool
yeah,
feeling, because they're checking in on me to make sure I'm okay.
yeah,
And
yeah.
that's something, like you said, that isn't really the way that it goes in a traditional classroom setting.
Hmm.
So
Hmm.
it's been interesting to see the different ways that
Yeah,
this situation has made us adapt and made us evolve in just the way
right.
that we communicate with one another.
Yeah, and I think the experiences that we create right now, our students will remember those. Will remember those professors they really connected with. They really were helpful. They really look forward to connecting on their e-learning, and I think that's pretty cool. As far as like, for example, the demo parts and things like that, something that I've been also telling some of my friends who are teaching, and they're like afraid of doing a demo live, and something
Hmm.
might happen. What I'm telling, like, just take your tripod and put your phone and record your own demo out, before you go live. And then
Hmm.
when you go live on Zoom, because you can share the screen, then share that video and then just talk it over. Explain what you are doing as they see your video, so you don't have that pressure of, will what will happen, the phone will fall, all these things that can happen when you are live, right, in a conversation. And we have all seen
Sure.
like the funny memes of uh, doing people doing crazy stuff while they're trying to teach a class. So, but if you
Right.
have that content pre-recorded, and then you're showing it as a share screen as you voice over, then and that way you can also answer questions as people are or the students are watching it. It's
Mhm.
also one of the things that for some of our friends who are like you said, maybe afraid of the camera and the technology, kind of
Mhm.
puts them at a little bit of unease because that part is already recorded and done.
Right, right. There's some free software out there for people as well. OBS is great. The
Mhm.
online broadcast software is free to use. You will have to learn a little bit about how to run it, but it's a great way to produce something and
Mhm.
then be able to edit the content and cut it shorter if you're feeling like, I'm terrible on camera. It
Yeah.
gives you, a chance to edit that video. But again, looking at this as an opportunity to take on
Yeah.
new skills and learn new things, I think is a
Right.
great thing for us.
I think so. And this idea that because we are coming at this thing at the same time, this idea that because you are the instructor, you have to be a pro at the technology is almost like non-existent. Like people will forgive you, you make a mistake, right? If you have the camera off, or
Right,
those
right.
things are okay as we start on this new journey because we are all learning.
We are building this plane in the air. That is
That's the scary part.
scary.
So, Richard, I would love to hear something also about your work. You are an artist as well, then you've done amazing things in your career. So, tell us a little bit, for friends who do not know your work, and I'll be showing some of your images, as we chat here. Tell us a little bit
Okay.
about the work that you do.
So I primarily focus on popular culture as the subject of my work. So movies and television, things that inspired me as when I was younger, and also things that inspire me now.
Hmm.
So I do a lot of that type of work. It's illustrative. Uh, the subject, it's illustration, essentially, fantasy, science fiction, movies, TV, comic books. I have been to, I don't know, I'm probably getting close to 60 different comic conventions, which we
Wow.
discussed earlier.
Yeah.
It's great fun, meeting artists in that world and collaborating with them and learning from each other and traveling with them. It's really
Mhm.
exciting. It's sort of like the gallery world for illustrators,
Yeah.
which was something that, fine art and commercial illustration were two separate things,
Mhm.
but the convention thing sort of brought those two worlds together and opened
Yeah.
up new opportunities. Obviously, now we're in a situation where I don't know when the next show will
Mhm.
be, which is, it's sad. And, a lot of people are struggling. People are really focusing on their online game. I
Mhm.
do have a website. So all of my social media, all of my website is Diligent Visual.
Mhm.
So you can check out my work there. And yeah, I mean, it's something that I started doing probably about 10 years ago just to keep myself producing work. As a
Mhm.
teacher, I think a lot of times we put aside our own career to focus on building other people's careers. And
Mhm.
then the
Mhm.
artwork sort of gets in a point where you become stagnant and you
Yeah.
don't create anymore. And I didn't want that to happen to me. So I thought, well, what are the things that I'm interested in? What are the subjects that I'm interested in? And it's always come back to popular culture. So
Right.
it's been great. It's a lot of fun.
Awesome. Cool. And through that, also through the work that you create, you also inspire also the students that you are helping to become, the artists that they will be in the future, which is awesome, including my son, which follows you on social media and loves the work that you do as well. So,
Yes, thank you.
Richard, you've been so awesome today. Again, you said our friends can find you at Diligent Visual in all the platforms, correct? And that's
Yep,
where they
that's
can
it.
connect with you. We invite also other educators. If you want to reach out to Richard, do it through those social platforms as well. Thank you so much, Richard, for being with us today. I really appreciate your time. Hope
Thank
you have
you,
a great day.
Sergio.
Do you have a lot of work for the rest of the day?
Well, I'm trying to put myself on a schedule and trying to be productive every day and just chip away and make a little bit of progress. I think
Yeah,
that's really important, is that we give ourselves some kind of stability and some sort
right.
of schedule, because the lure of Netflix binge watching is strong. It can pull you in.
The force is strong, absolutely. Thank you so
All
much,
right.
Richard. To all the friends
Thank you,
watching today,
Sergio.
thank you for joining us. Have a great time. Please share this episode with your friends. Richard and I will be so excited if we see that shared somewhere else. Have a great day. Goodbye.